Hi, welcome to my video, and if it's your first time here, welcome to my channel. Today, in celebration of the month of Veganuary, I am continuing to post vegan-only recipes, and today's recipe is a delicious Dum Aloo. The most important ingredient in this recipe is, of course, potato, and I am using boiled baby potatoes. The remainder of the ingredients do make up a pretty lengthy list, but everything is written down below for you, so all of the ingredients as well as their measurements. I don't want you to think that Dum Aloo is a difficult dish to make because it absolutely isn't. It is only a little time consuming, and for that reason I would say that it's not an everyday dish. I would probably make this on a weekend, or if I was expecting company. It's not something that you eat every day. To start out with, we need to braise the outer skin of the baby potatoes. And yes, I said outer skin because I am opting to leave the skin on my potatoes, which I think adds a little texture to what is otherwise a pretty simple vegetable. But if you'd like to remove the skin, then you can certainly do that. And I am going to braise these potatoes on medium-high in about a tablespoon of olive oil until they develop a nice golden crust. And while that's happening, I'm going to puree the cashews in a little bit of water in my food processor. These cashews have been soaking for 30 minutes, and once pureed, they are going to create a nice paste for thickening my gravy and adding a luxurious texture as well. Coming back to the potatoes, they're going to take anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes, and you do have to turn them once or twice in between. But once you are satisfied with the golden crust, then go ahead and remove them from the non-stick. Just set them aside on a towel to absorb a little bit of the oil, and we're just going to keep going in the same skillet. You'll probably have a little bit of leftover oil, so directly to that oil, go ahead and add the fennel seeds. Move those fennel seeds around and then add the whole spices, the bay leaf, the cinnamon, cloves, and cardamom pods. And once you've given those a little push as well, go ahead and add the ginger and garlic. All these ingredients need to cook together for just a few minutes. And once you can smell the beautiful aroma of these ingredients, it's time to add the chopped onion. And a quick word about that chopped onion. You're actually going to be making a puree out of everything now, so it doesn't matter what size or what shape you chop them in, so long as they're roughly uniform. It doesn't even have to be attractive. At some point, you also need to add your green chili if you're using one. If you don't need any more spice, you can always omit that. And then once the onions are translucent, probably about 3 to 4 minutes later, go ahead and add the tomato puree. This is also a great time for you to adjust the salt, and if at any point you feel like this puree is getting too dry, simply add a splash of water, and don't forget to keep things moving. This puree does need to cook down. It's also going to reduce in volume just a little bit. And once that happens, you need to remove this from the heat and allow it to cool down before blending it into a silky smooth puree. As for the potatoes, there is still one final thing that we need to do before the final assembly, and that is to poke each potato roughly 3 or 4 times in different places with a fork, so that when they are simmering away in the gravy, they will also absorb the beautiful spices and flavors. And we are pretty much done with all of the groundwork. Now we are just going to assemble the final dish. So to do that, we do need to heat up some oil, and to that hot oil we're going to add the cumin seeds. Once they start crackling, you can add the tomato and onion puree and fry that off a little bit in the oil with the cumin. And depending on what type of pot you are using, I do think it's important to keep this moving as much as possible. Once things are fairly well incorporated, it's time to add the remaining spices, the turmeric, the red chili powder, the coriander, and keep things moving as much as possible. And it's time for another salt check, so give this a little taste and make any adjustments if you need to. I don't think it's always a good idea to add salt in one final swoop at the end. With a dish like this, I prefer to do incremental adjustments along the way. Next, add in the cashew cream and incorporate it with the tomato and onion puree. To finish off the gravy, we're going to add a cup to a cup and a half of water, depending on your preference, and incorporate everything into a smooth, soupy texture. I like something that is neither too thick nor too thin, but this is very much up to your discretion. The idea is for the gravy to coat the potatoes. And those potatoes are now going to go directly into the gravy. I like them to sit in one layer, and I don't want to stir them aggressively. I just want to make sure that they are somewhat submerged. Then it's time to cover these up and allow them to simmer away for 3 to 4 minutes. That is the absolute last step. And hungry as you might be, guests pounding on your door, it is necessary to do this because that is the only way for these potatoes to absorb the flavors of the gravy. So 3 to 4 minutes later, you can serve your dish. I do like to garnish it with a little bit of freshly chopped coriander. If you have some reserved cashew cream, it would be a really nice idea to drizzle it on top. And I like to have this alongside rice, but you could have it with roti, lacha paratha, naan. The options are many. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel where I post videos every Monday and Thursday. Although I have yet to get my act together for the Thursday content. Let's see how I do this week. All right, I will see you very soon with another video. Bye-bye.
If you're just joining us, yeah, Pranav is pulling a 16-point turn. It is currently in progress. No, we might make it out this time. Yep.